question. It says what? Manufacturer sells a TV to a dealer for rupees 18,000 and the dealer sells it to a consumer at a profit of 1,500. If the state and if the sales are intrastate means within the state, not outside the state, and the rate of GST is 12%. Fine. The number one first question: the amount of GST paid by the dealer to the state government, the amount of GST received by the central government, the amount of GST received by the state government, and amount of that the consumer pay for the TV. So first of all, remember I had mentioned earlier about the hierarchy. If there is a manufacturer here, say I'll just mark it as manufacturer so that you understand. Manufacturer, manufacturer here, okay. Fine. Now what it does is it sells it to whom? It sells it to a dealer. So I'll put a dealer here. Fine. It will not be manufacturer. I have to make it as a dealer. Fine. So who sells it to the dealer? The manufacturer sells it to the dealer. Okay. Right. And how much does he pay? The dealer has to pay how much? 18,000 rupees. So he bought it for 18,000 rupees. He sold it for 18,000. So right here the cost, okay, the selling price for the manufacturer is 18,000. Fine. Now, so how much is the tax that the dealer will pay to the manufacturer? On what basis he will pay? The dealer had bought it from this manufacturer for 18,000, so he will pay, since it is within the state only, he will pay CGST and SGST, that is 6% each. To whom? To the manufacturer, and the manufacturer on the behalf, on the behalf of the government is charging that amount. So he will deposit that tax to the government only finally. So let me make it like that. See, very important one so that you understand this. I don't know what is this. I have to remove this part. Alright. Now, after this, now what is happening here? So we have to find out how much is the amount that will go. So I'll have to make it 2 column over here. One column will be for SGST, another column for CGST. Okay, so I'm trying that. Come on. It's not that proper. See, first of all, we have to calculate how much is the tax that the dealer will pay to the manufacturer. So we'll calculate as a 9% for 6% is CGST out of 12. This is 12%. So 6% of CGST is how much? Let's calculate CGST first. CGST. So it will go 6% of what? 18,000. And this will go to the government. Who's gone? I mean the central government. Then SGST. It also will be 6% of 18,000. It will go to the again state government here. So let's calculate what is 6% of 18,000. So this is 6, this is per, this is cent of 18,000. 20 got cancelled. So how much do we get? If we calculate that, it will come as 8 6 are 48 and 6 1 is 6 plus 4 10. 1 0 after this, so I'll put a 0. So this amount of tax will be paid by whom? The dealer to the manufacturer. So this is for dealer to manufacturer. How much? 1080. If you calculate this, it will also come the same. So even the SGST also will come the same if you calculate it, and that will be how much? 1080. It's very universally known to all of us. So I'll have to write 1080. This is the tax collected by the manufacturer from the dealer. Say dealer to manufacturer and market here. Now, so the first question was the amount of GST paid by the dealer to the state government is a different part of the question. He has not paid to the government yet. He has paid it to whom? To the manufacturer, right? And the manufacturer will pay this amount to the government. How much will he pay? The manufacturer, he has received how much of GST? 1080 on SGST and 1080 on the CGST, and he will pay these two amounts to the government. He has his unique GSTIN number, so with that he will be paying it. Okay, see, he has taken this on the behalf of the government from the dealer. So understand in this manner. Now comes here. So the dealer sells it to whom? So dealer sells it to the consumer, right? The dealer will sell it to the whom? To the consumer. So we will have to find it out how much that the consumer will pay. Okay, so I'll just have to put it here. Okay, so I have to draw another one, and I'll just that be what? To the consumer here. So I'll pay this to the consumer. Dealer has sold it to the consumer, so let's put it here. Now consumer, he has not paid, the dealer has paid to the consumer but not at the same price. He wants a profit of 1500. So what he has sold at? So dealer to consumer amount, the selling price. How much will the selling price? Selling price is cost price plus profit. So do you know what the cost price is? Cost price is the price which he has bought from the manufacturer, and how much that was? 18,000. Plus profit he wants is 1500. So 1500, how much is that? 19,500. This is the price, is the selling price for whom? For the dealer. For the dealer. Okay, so he sells it to the consumer at what price? So I'll write it here. SP for him is 19,500. Okay, now then the consumer will pay the tax again, because every stage the tax has to be collected. So what is the tax he will pay? So we have to calculate how much? Both CGST and SGST. Okay, so let the tax be collected herein. I will write with red color here. Okay, so how much is that? CGST will be 6% of what? Remember, 6% of not 18,000. He is selling for 19,500, so it will be 19,500. And if you calculate that, it will be 6% of 19,500. These two zero got cancelled, so you have to multiply this. 6 5s are 30, 6 5s are 33 there, 6 9s are 54, 54 plus 3 57. Okay, 57 5, and 6 1 is 6 plus 5 11, right? So 1170 is the amount of CGST for him. Okay, so right here, this is for consumer to dealer tax, CGST. How much? 1170. And we know that when we calculate SGST, although you have to write all of these in your notebook, if you don't write, you will lose marks. So SGST is equal to 6% of, again, 19,500, and that comes as how much? Same, 6% of 19,500 will be 1170. So 1170 here. Okay, this is the consumer to the dealer here. So how much tax he has paid? So remember, he has paid a tax of this much. Fine, I can just mark it. This is the tax paid by the dealer, and this is the tax paid by the consumer here. Now see, then that something comes here that he has to, okay, just mark it like this. Who has to pay the tax to the government? The manufacturer, who has received the tax from the dealer, will also have to pay the tax, and even the consumer, sorry, the dealer also, who has received the tax from the consumer, has to pay to the government tax. But the dealer has already paid 1170 as a, sorry, 1080 as a tax earlier for the same item. So he will not pay the entire 1170 to the government. He will pay whatever, less whatever he has already paid. So how much he has paid? So we can say CGST paid to the government by dealer will be how much? And even SGST, I'll write it here. SGST, both, how much? Separately we'll calculate. So CGST, how much he has paid? See, he has paid 1080. How much he has received? 1170. So received is the right? Received is what? Remember the word we had, input tax and output tax. Okay, so what is the input for him and what is output for him? You have to know that. So how much he has received? 1170. This is the tax received from the consumer. And how much is the, you have to write the rupees here, tax paid already to the manufacturer. Already, how much? That was 1080. So 1080. How much is the balance? Net tax to be paid. Paid by whom? By the dealer. And that will be how much? Subtracted. 0 minus 0 is 0. 17 minus 8 is 9. And again 0 and nothing here. So 90 rupees he will pay to the government. Who? The dealer to the government here. This is just the CGST we have done. Okay, or maybe SGST. If it is SGST, we can take it as SGST here, and same way he has to pay the CGST also. So CGST is how much? This will be how much? So if he pays it, it will be, he has already received 1170 and he has paid to the manufacturer already 1080. So the remainder is 90 rupees. So the net tax that he will pay as a CGST will be again 90 rupees. So the question arises, the first question was the amount of tax paid by the dealer to the state government. How much will that be? State government is, this is 90 rupees. So this is the answer here, 90 rupees. The GST received by the central government. Remember, this is a different question. Central government has already received the GST. Is not the only paid by the dealer, it is also paid by the manufacturer also, right? So paid by dealer is how much? 90, and paid by the manufacturer is 1080. So how much that he has received? This received by the central government. So CGST total, CGST is how much? 1080 was paid by manufacturer to the government, and dealer how much he paid? 90. Add them up, how much will that be? 1170. Or we can say whatever the dealer has received from the consumer, that is what the dealer will the government will be, or the central government will be receiving. So the amount of GST received by the central government will be how much? 1170. And the amount of GST received by the state government also will be the same, because whatever he has received from the ultimate user, which is the consumer, that is the total amount that the government will be receiving. So it also will be same way, you have to calculate it. It will be 1170 here. So the whatever the actual amount of tax which is received from the consumer is, that is the total amount of tax the government receives it, right? Partly by the dealer and partly by the manufacturer, or whoever are the middlemen in it. Okay, they will partly be paying it accordingly. So the amount that the consumer paid for the TV. Now let's see, what is the selling price of the dealer? The dealer selling price is 19,500. So selling price is 19,500. Now what is the tax on it? CGST is how much? 1170. SGST 1170. What is the amount to be paid? This is all that the consumer has to pay. So consumer has to pay total how much? Selling price, which is the price that the dealer is selling at, CGST and SGST. Add them up, how much will that be? 0 plus 0 plus 0, 0. 7 plus 7, 14. 1 is there. So 1 plus 1, 2. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 plus 5, 8. And again 9, 8. 9 plus 1, 10. 10 plus 1, 11. 1, 1, 1 plus 2. Okay. So he has to pay 21,840 rupees. So how much he has to pay? This is the amount that he has to pay. The total amount, the consumer bill, I will say, bill amount. So total bill amount is this much, and this is the answer for the last question, 21840. So what is it? 2 okay. So these are the answers. I hope you have understood this. Is basically, see, all the calculation you can see in the single frame here is basically that yes, you need to understand the concept. Once again, I'm telling you, that is a manufacturer sells it to the dealer. So the dealer here will have to pay the tax on whatever price he has bought it from the manufacturer, or we can say whatever the price the manufacturer has sold it to the dealer, on that selling price. He will pay that tax whichever he has collected from the dealer to the government with his own account. Then dealer will sell it to the consumer. Since dealer is paying he is selling it for a higher price, so obviously he will receive some extra amount of tax from the consumer, because right, in this case 18,000 that he bought it, but he is selling for 19,500, 1,500 extra that he's selling for, he will be receiving the tax on that as well. So whatever the tax that the dealer has received from the consumer, right, he will not pay the entire thing. He will subtract whatever he had already paid to the manufacturer as a tax. So he will subtract that amount, and the remaining amount will be paid to the government as a tax from his own account. Who? The dealer. Consumer is the end user. He is not going to pass it on to anybody else. So he will be consuming it. So he further will not be a part of that middleman here. So this is how we have to solve it, and these are the answers in it.